Restoring Indigenous traditions. Ceremonial practices. Indigenous people around the world have been preserving their cultural traditions for centuries. Many of these traditions include ceremonial practices, which are essential to Indigenous cultures and identities. These ceremonial practices are an integral part of the cultural identity of Indigenous peoples and can be seen as a way of connecting with their cultural heritage, as well as providing a sense of belonging and identity in the community. For centuries, Indigenous peoples have been using ceremonial practices such as feasts, dances, and storytelling to share their culture with future generations. These practices are also used to honor the spirits and to build community. Ceremonial practices can be seen as a way of expressing respect for the land, ancestors, and the entire community. In recent years, there has been a growing interest in restoring Indigenous traditions and ceremonial practices. This has been spurred by a recognition of the vital importance of these traditions for Indigenous cultures, as well as the need to protect them from being lost. This has led to a resurgence of interest in the revitalization of Indigenous cultures and the restoration of traditional ceremonies. One of the most important steps in restoring Indigenous traditions is to ensure that the community is involved in the process. This can include the elders, youth, and other members of the community. The community can work together to determine which traditions and ceremonies are most important to them, and to create a plan for preserving and restoring these practices. In addition to involving the community, restoring Indigenous traditions and ceremonies often involves the use of traditional materials and methods. This can include using traditional drums, flutes, and other instruments, as well as traditional clothing and regalia. Many ceremonies also involve the use of traditional medicines and herbs, as well as the use of traditional symbols and rituals. The process of restoring Indigenous traditions and ceremonies can be a lengthy one, but it is an important part of preserving Indigenous cultures and identities. It can be a powerful way to connect with the past, honor the ancestors, and ensure that future generations can continue to enjoy the traditions and ceremonies of their ancestors.